Alright guys, today I wanted to make a video about the England squad that, I'd pick for the up and coming Euro qualifiers against Italy and Ukraine. Now I'll just quickly go through the squad that Gareth Southgate has picked. He's picked 25 players in his squad. So goalkeepers Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale. Defenders Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Reece James, John Stones, Harry Maguire, Mark Gay, Eric Dyer, Luke Shaw, Ben Chilwell. Midfielders Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, Jude Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher and James Maddison. And then forwards Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish. Now I've picked my squad. I'm going to go through it. I have made 8 changes to Southgate's squad. Now, I think the changes I've made would suggest that I think that Southgate is a little bit too loyal to some players. I really like Southgate as England manager. I think he's done a superb job, and I'm not one of these people who thinks, oh, Southgate needs to go. No, we've performed well at tournaments under him, so until that stops happening, I think he is the man to have in charge for England. So yeah, my squad. So start off with I've gone with the same same 3 goalkeepers. I think it's I don't think it's really questionable over is there any other goalkeeper in the league who is challenging them. I don't think there is quite right now. I think the question more is who should start when you've got Ramsdale, Pope and Pickford. I think they're the 3 best English goalkeepers there are by quite a long stretch. But yeah, they definitely make it into my squad. Now defenders, I've picked 3 right backs. I've picked 2 out and out right backs. I've picked Kieran Trippier and Reece James. Now the reason I've excluded Kyle Walker is it isn't anything to do with the whole controversy that he's in at the minute over what happened last week, but I just don't think he's really played enough football recently. I think Manchester City have started to do this thing in all of their must-win games where they actually prefer to play either John Stones, Manuel Akanji at right back. So I've gone with Kieran Trippier and Reece James, and then Ben White as a backup. And he can also cover centre back as well if needed. So I think that's what I'd go with. And then centre backs. This is where I've made the most changes. The only centre back I've actually kept from Southgate's squad is actually John Stones. I've replaced Harry Maguire, Mark Gay and Eric Dyer with Fikayo Tomori, Lewis Dunk and Ben Mee. I think Lewis Dunk and Ben Mee have been two of the best English centre-backs in the Premier League this season. John Stones hasn't really been a centre-back, so I think, yeah, probably Lewis Dunk and Ben Mee have probably been the 2 standout English centre-backs. I think Mark Gay is a good defender, but Palace have been shocking lately, and I think Mark Gay was better last season than he has been this season. I don't think he's on a decline. He's still a young defender. It's just he's in a team that's underperforming right now. Eric Dyer's hit a bit of a rough patch in form after having a really good first 12 months under Antonio Conte, and Harry Maguire, he's just not in form. He can't get into the Manchester United starting 11, and I want players in my team who do they start. I understand the whole argument of Harry Maguire plays well for England, and that is true. He's performed really well for England at tournaments, even the most recent tournament in Qatar, the World Cup. He obviously played really well, but I want players who are consistently playing in my squad. So I've gone with Tomori, who's performing really well for AC Milan in Serie A, Lewis Dunk, who's in a really exciting Brighton team, and Ben Mee for the same reason at Brentford. I've gone with the same 2 left backs in Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell, so no change there. And then in terms of defensive midfielders, I've stuck with Declan Rice. I don't think he's having his best season, but I think he's still the best option England have in a holding role. But instead of Calvin Phillips, I've gone with Oliver Skip, whatever you want to call him, for Tottenham, because I think ever since Rodrigo Bentancur's injury for Tottenham, that was a huge blow to their season, and I think Skip has done well since he's come into the team. He's actually, even though Tottenham have been a bit hit and miss lately, I think he's been a consistent performer for them, so I think he deserves a call up. And then in central midfield, I've replaced Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher because I just don't think they're performing. Mount and Gallagher aren't in Chelsea's best starting 11 at the moment, and haven't been performing well for probably since the World Cup, to be honest. So I've replaced them with James Ward-Prowse, because I think Southampton lately haven't been too bad, and in fact there's been games where they've been quite unlucky, and Ward-Prowse has been superb still. So I think the fact that Southampton have had a difficult season shouldn't reflect badly on James Ward-Prowse. And I've actually replaced Gallagher, and Mount, or however you want to put it, with Sean Longstaff, because I think even though Newcastle have been in a bit of a difficult run of form recently, I think Longstaff has been someone who's still managed to perform really well for them. So I think he deserves a call up to this England team for the first time. And then in sort of like a number 10 role, as sort of like a differential position that usually Southgate doesn't play within his system, he's gone with James Maddison. I've actually gone with Morgan Gibbs-White, because I don't think Maddison has been in great form recently for Leicester, but I think Gibbs-White has been superb for Nottingham Forest for pretty much the entire season, so I think he probably deserves to nip in ahead. And then the forward line, I've about the 6 forwards, if you like, I've gone with exactly the same as Southgate, because I think they are above the rest. I think that there's a couple of players who you could make a case for. I think Ollie Watkins has just hit a really good run of form for Aston Villa. I think he scored something like 6 in 7 games, which is really good going. And Solly March for Brighton, he's been in superb form, especially since Christmas. He's stepped it up a level, even though he was performing well at the start of the season. So I think he's quite unlucky that England just have 2 amazing right wingers. We have Bukayo Saka, arguably the best young player in the Premier League this season. He's still with Haaland to run for his money, I guess. And Phil Foden, who, even though he's not had the greatest season, he's been good recently, but he's still arguably the most talented footballer produced by England in the last decade. So, I think he definitely has to be in the squad. So I think Solly March is a bit unlucky in that respect, but that there are others. Alexander-Arnold's been left out. That's a big talking point, and for me, I think rightly so, because there are players who are performing better than him right now. So I don't think he can argue with that one much. Alexander-Arnold, he just needs to get his head down and focus on performing better. I know he's not been helped by Liverpool not being great of late, and he sort of plays a role where Alexander-Arnold's sort of reliant on Liverpool to be in control of games, so that he can, be at his attacking best. Whereas, like, if Liverpool are under pressure, Alexander-Arnold isn't a great defender, so that's where he struggles a little bit. But yeah, I think that's probably the best squad that England could produce with the players that we've got right now. I think there's definitely others who would be in contention for this place in the squad as well, but I think that's a pretty good squad that I've put together. I'll just go through it once more. Ramsdale, Pope, Pickford, Trippier, James, Stones, Tomori, Dunk, Mee, Shaw, Chilwell, Rice, Skip, Bellingham, Ward-Prowse, Henderson, Longstaff, Saka, Foden, Kane, Tony, Rashford, Grealish, White, Gibbs-White. That's my squad. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.